production studios, dance schools, things like that. So just remember that there were those recommendations also when you make a motion. So at this point, if there are no if there are no further questions for the professionals and no further comments from the board, it would be appropriate to take a motion now. And as I said before, the motion could be to approve the whole thing, the motion could be to deny the whole thing, or there could be a motion that accepts portions of the master plan for the proposed land use element of the master plan and rejects others. Mr. Klein is exactly correct when he stated at the get-go that the alternates will not be voting tonight because we have our full complement of members. So it's our 9 regulars that will be voting tonight. So I think if the board's ready, we can hear a motion.
Good question.
Yes.
I said that there's 3 parts to the application. Now, how do we, if we want to address, I'm against the prohibiting car dealerships on 33. I'd like to see car dealerships on 33. So how do we work this all together? I mean, that's
Sure.
part of the 3-part puzzle. I'm not sure how this.
Well, if you were against everything, and that's not one of the recommendations in Mr. Kramer's report, that the car dealerships on 30.
Laws that we don't allow
Right.
car dealerships. I'm suggesting that we should.
No, that's what I'm saying. So if you are against everything else in the report, and you think that there should be something that's not in the report, your motion would be to reject the report. And then as part of that, to also, part of that motion would be to reject this report, but direct Mr. Kramer to prepare an element that contains car dealerships as a permitted use in our zones along Route 33. Similarly, if you wanted the commercial portion of it and you didn't like anything else, you'd make a motion to accept that portion of Mr. Kramer's report dealing with commercial and reject everything else. If you only wanted to approve those other uses that were proposed in the OP10 zone, like the adult daycare, then what your motion would be to reject the report with the exception of those additional uses in the OP10 zone and OP3 zones.
You're suggesting 3 different motions?
No. I'm suggesting one motion, but that motion has multiple directions. A motion to reject. Okay. Okay. Is anyone else unclear or having questions?
I would like to give it a try first, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a motion to approve the recommendations on the Route 33 corridor with the proposed zone changes and uses. Within the motion, I would like to recommend that the OP10 zone not be changed. I would also like to recommend in the same motion that the OP3 zone would not be changed.
No changes at all to 10 and no changes to 3.
That's correct.
But are you only speaking to Route 33 or the entire amendment?
Well, I think what it was, he was speaking to 3 portions of it. So basically, Chief, what I get is that the only recommendation contained in the report that your motion accepts are Route 33. It rejects everything else in the report.
No.
Okay.
No, let me rephrase that. My motion would be not to change the uses in the OP3 and 10, and everything else in the report, I'm in agreement with.
What does that mean?
But, and I apologize, I'm just, so essentially, that means that no car dealership, it means no commercial, and it also means no to all those other smaller recommendations in the OP zone.
That's correct, no changes in those 2 zones, the OP3 and 10.
Okay, just, Rick, your report, did it speak to any other OP zones other than 3 and 10? When you were recommending those other smaller uses?
Yes, it speaks to OP.
Okay, so Chief, would you say the same thing, no change in any OP zone?
Just the OP3 and 10. Everything else will stay the same as the report stated.
Okay. Okay, so then just to recap, to make sure that I'm clear and everyone else is clear, we're accepting the recommendations regarding Route 33. We are rejecting the recommendations for OP10 and OP3 that would remain the same as exists. And any other OP zone, we are accepting the recommendations from Mr. Kramer.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second. Yeah, everything you said.
Is he going to give one more crack at it?
It includes, we have an OP zone that's not OP3 and OP10, and in that zone, Mr. Kramer has recommended, Richard, you can go through the uses.
What it would allow for an OP is adult daycare facility, business support services, data centers, educational uses, fitness health club, laboratory testing for materials, soil, dental laboratory, media production. That's it.
And Rich, I think it'd probably be helpful if you probably reoriented the board to where just the OP zone is.
The OP zone, full map. The OP zone is located. There are three different locations along Route 9. It's located at the intersection on the west side of Route 9 at Hill Drive. It's located to the west of Route 9 along Taylor's Mill Road. It's located to the east of Franklin Lane. Those are the three locations of OP.
Right.
If we look at page 3 and 4 of your master plan, there's a series of boxes there. Can I just go through this to clarify my mind and make this more aligned with the system?
Sure.
So the adult daycare facility, that would be development in Mr. Hogan's recommendation.
Only in the OP zone.
And then also the SED zones.
So the next one would be arson, craft, block manufacturing, and the SED zone.
Yes, because they're all on Route 30.
Or just rental fees or like the SED as well?
No, that's the detail Thursday.
Microphone, please.
So we're just talking about Mr. Hogan's proposal that the OP zones are also the SED zones.
So the first I addressed was the,
Well, Mr. Hogan's motion was that everything that's recommended for the SED zones in Route 33 that we accept.
Right, okay, so then that would be a yes to that particular, the second time, it says arson, craft, and product.
Correct. Yes.
So if I go line item by line item, it would be yes to adult daycare, yes to arson, craft, product manufacturing. The next line, automobile sales would be a no. Business support service would be a yes. Community parking facilities would be a yes. Data center would be a yes. Educational use would be a yes. Fitness health club would be a yes. Flex space would be a yes. Is that correct?
Well, it's a yes in as much as just for the OP zone. Mr. Hogan did not recommend that any of those uses be in the OP10 or OP3. So to the extent that they apply to OP, it's just OP. So those uses would all be okay on the Route 33 and the SED, and then only in the OP zone, not OP3 or OP10.
So let me just ask this question again. Line item number 9 on page 3, where it says flex space, where the recommendation is to include it in the SCD 5 zone?
yes, it only appears, flex space only appears in the SED zones, and that's only on Route 32.
Right. So is the motion or including extended stays, that would be no in the OP 10 zone.
They would not be because the motion is to have no changes to the ordinance.
That's correct.
But it would be in the SUV 20 zone?
Yes, it would be in all of those SUV zones on Route 33.
Animal boarding, animal daycare, that would be yes?
Yes.
The laboratory testing, again, that's the OP zone, so that would be a no, right?
Laboratory testing would only be allowed in OP, but not in OP 3 or OP 4.
Laboratory vent would be the same, only in OP,
Only in OP, yes.
and medical production would be the same, only in OP.
Media would only be in OP, and then in those SUV zones, it would be.
Planned commercial development, that would be a no then, right?
That's correct, that's a no.
The next one down says planned development, that would be a yes, since it's an SUV.
Yes.
And the next two would apply to recreational center, would be a yes, the renewable energy would be a yes.
Yes.
Thank you, I understand.
Everybody knows the motion on the floor?
Actually, I think this will be a second to the motion, Mr. Chair.
All second.
Yeah,
As a point of order, can we do discussion before roll call?
Yeah, I was gonna second that.
Now, I'd like to ask that the planning board reject the motion on the table. To simplify the matter, I think it may make more sense to take the patina issue out of the mix and vote on that separately. I would prefer to accept the entire amendment minus automobiles in OP3 and make that a separate vote. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no on this current motion and would ask the board to do the same. Thank you.
I would also like to suggest, although I'm not a voting member, that you probably consider amending his proposed statement to include auto dealerships on the SUV going on Route 33. Would you consider that?
Well, in that case, we need a motion to amend.
Well, we need a motion to amend, but we should probably hear from the chief as to whether he would even.
No, my motion stands.
And since Mr. Klein is not a voting member tonight, he couldn't make a motion to amend the chief's motion. So are there any other motions on the table? I think Mr. Cohen already seconded it.
Ready to vote, we're just discussing before we vote on it.
Is there any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Can we define what a yes and a no would mean?
Yes would be to approve a master plan amendment that accepted all of the recommendations for the Route 33 SED zones, to reject all of the recommendations with regard to OP3 and OP10, and to accept all of the recommendations for OP.
Does anybody want to consider Green's motion or revival?
I have made a motion to amend. I'm just asking the board to vote no so we can start again.
So hearing no other motions, Mr. Chair, I think.
Was there a second on Mr. Green's?
Yes.
No, on the chief.
Yes, Mr. Green did make, Committee Green did
No, I
not
made
make
a
a motion.
On amendment.
He did not make a motion at all. There's no other motion on the table.
Ryan, your motion was to approve everything but take auto.
It's not a motion.
I'm sorry,
My suggestion, which is not a motion, is to hold a separate vote on automobile dealerships in OP3 and to approve everything else. If the motion on the table fails, I'll be happy to make that motion.
Okay.
Ready, Mr. Pike?
Let's take a vote. So we're taking the more stable, we're voting on what one time?
Sure. You're voting on Chief Hogan's motion, which would approve all of the recommendations contained in the report regarding the SED zones along Route 33. It would reject all of the recommendations for OP10. It would reject all of the recommendations for OP3, and it would accept all of the recommendations for the OP zone.
There's been a motion made by Chief Hogan, seconded by Mr. Cohen. I will now take the vote. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Chief Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Eisner? Yes. Chairman McAvoy?
No.
Deputy Mayor Collins? Committeeman Green?
No.
Mr. Mendez?
No.
Mr. Needham? Yes. Let's
That's
see.
it.
I think that's it.
The motion passes.
Motion passed.
So just at this juncture, what will happen is Mr. Kramer will go back and produce the new document that will just have the recommendations for OP and the recommendations for Route 33. We'll bring that back at the next meeting, just for a vote, just to make sure it's consistent, the document with what we voted on tonight. There's no further public hearing on it, but we just have to make sure that document is reads the way that we voted tonight.
But, the next meeting of the board is the 8th. I would not have that document prepared 10 days before, so it could not be heard.
Microphone, please.
The document wouldn't be prepared 10 days before the 8th, it would not be prepared yet. It could be presented on the 8th, and then if the board is consistent with what the board just voted on, then it would be heard and it could be adopted on the 22nd of March, which is the second meeting of the
Okay, what I recommend is that Mr. Kramer prepare the document, circulate it to the board members. If anyone has any comments, they can get back to Mr. Kramer or myself, and we just deal with it in its totality on the 22nd.
I have a question. Point of order. We're doing this on ourselves. We're looking at the public for items not affecting this in a little bit.
I'm confused with.
We need to know in layman's terms, we can vote on it. I don't understand.
I think,
Keep that, folks, you can hear.
let me explain the highlights, I think, of what just happened. The board has voted to reject any amendment to the master plan to make sure the board has further voted to reject any amendments to the master plan for commercial in the OP10 zone.
I now open up to the public, anybody wishing to address this board on the issues not covered this evening. Seeing none, we close the public. Anybody have anything personal for the board before you adjourn? We're done.